And also, I believe you just had another member join you, Van, who didn't have the benefit of the intro. So
Okay.
just maybe a 30-second overview so Van understands what we're doing.
Okay. All right. Well, I've done it twice, so this is going to be the third time, last time. This is
Sorry.
You don't have to if you don't want to. This is Van. I'm just listening in, and
Yeah,
I don't want to hold up the meeting. I'm very late.
It's going to be pretty obvious what we're doing, Van. So please do share your thoughts. We'd love to hear.
Sure, you bet. I apologize for being late. Sorry.
no
No
problem.
worries.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, so we're talking about some things about the community today and in the future. Right now, the first topic we're asking participants to provide feedback on is and thoughts on, or what are the best things about Rio Vista today? What you enjoy about the city, maybe why you moved there, what keeps you there in the city. So, any other thoughts?
Yeah, Nick,
Yes,
Jim Greco here.
Jim.
One of the things that both my wife and I like about this area is the fact it's a true representation not only of small town, but it's a representation of, like Albert talked about, agri and agribusiness. And I'm not trying to speak or mansplain, but folks have to remember when we talk about agriculture, that's encompassing all natural resources as well. And that's the environment we live in, being the Delta region. So it's the waterways, the businesses, and the lifestyles that emanate from those various businesses and focus areas regarding natural resources. So it really drew us here. We enjoy it. And we honestly, to be put the cards on the table, we don't want to turn this into another suburb of the Bay Area and sacrifice the natural resource for expansionism.
Well, that's a great comment. So I did reflect the agribusiness, but I think it's important to note that you enjoy I'll just say this, perhaps, maybe tell me if this kind of reflects what you're thinking. Small town character and not a, suburban or a suburb. You don't want to be a suburb basically of the Bay Area. Yeah, I'll just put it here. And this is good. It doesn't really maybe fit in some of these categories. It's kind of like what you don't want. So it's a little different, but we'll go ahead and put that in there. That you
Correct.
Like.
Also, the fact that when it comes to agriculture, the farmers around here, the ranchers around here, really adhere to the notion that they're stewards of the land. And that's what I think the plan should also reflect, is stewardship.
Great. Okay. Any other thoughts or comments? Not, then we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. City in the future.
Again. Oh, I think somebody has their hand up.
Oh, okay. Oh, hi, please.
Hello. All these things are relative, but I think for my family, the best thing about Rio Vista is low crime, and it's a very safe place to live. Again, I know these things are relative, but there's no crime here compared to where we used to live. So that's a nice benefit of living here.
Sure, definitely. And you can go ahead and lower your hand once you're done speaking, or if you did have another comment too, Roxanne. So in terms of what could be better about the city in the future, any thoughts about, thinking maybe 10, 20 years down the road, what could be better about Rio Vista, things that are maybe not here in the city today? It's kind of like the third question as well. They're pretty similar, but maybe just more broadly, what could be better about the city in the future? It could be activities or uses? Okay, Roxanne, go ahead.
I think the hardest thing about that question is imagining what the world will look like in 20 years. And I don't think the world in this area is going to be about farming, for example. So when we're doing a plan for 20 years out, what does that world look like? That world looks like people working from home, who might commute to the city once a week. It's going to be a very different world than the world we're living in today. And I don't think, based on the last plan I read, I don't think enough thinking goes into what the future is. So
Okay.
that's not really a question, just a comment.
Sure. So if you do think that people will be telecommuting more, perhaps, working at home and their office is in another part of California or another part of the country, what would be some things that people would want to see, to complement that if they're on their computer all day long? Like, would there be something that they would want to have in their community? What would you like to see? When
An
you
eye doctor. We need more eye doctors.
more, I've had that more physicians, more doctors are needed in town.
Yep.
Well, this might actually go better in this category, so I'm going to probably put it here if that's okay. Well, or you have some doctors there, so I'll put it here, and then maybe it could be maybe more medical services generally. Is that what you're kind of thinking, perhaps?
I was thinking of people being on their computer 20 hours a day.
Oh, that's why you're joking about. Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. I mean, what do people need? They need experiences outside the home. That's what they need.
Okay.
That's what the future is.
I think that things that could be better are going to combine with things that the state is going to have to be involved in particular the roads. I think the roads and the people that drive them make this a treacherous place to come to. But what I'd like to see happen here is that it become a destination for some reason. When you think about Healdsburg, for instance, it used to be nothing. They had nothing of any interest, but now they have some specialty food shops that you can't just waltz into in Walnut Creek or other places, like a Penzi Spices. There's a lot of people in this area who are very talented in sewing ventures, quilting, embroidery, things like that. If there could be a shop that specialized in that would bring people to shop for that, and then in turn, they might enjoy, having lunch here or strolling along the waterway. Better access for bicyclers. How beautiful is it? When I lived in Minneapolis, I bicycled along the Mississippi River every day, and it was a safe place to be, and clean air and beautiful scenery, and we have that here. And so the groundwork for building, and not necessarily just bicyclists, but I know people who live here who enjoy kayaking or that kind of thing. But the things that celebrate the agribusiness and the being a small town and not a suburb of the Bay Area.
Yeah, great comments. I'm going to move specialty stores here. I'm thinking, or am I hearing like likely in the downtown area, or where would that kind of happen?
Well, that seems to be kind of the center of the town, and so I don't know where else they'd go on Highway 12.
Sure. Okay. I know we have other comments, so I'm going to move on to let's see. Jim and Mingo, you had your hands raised. Sorry, I know a couple others came up, so I'm not sure who came up first, but we'll get to everybody.
This is Mingo, and I think before, I like the idea of specialty shops. I think it would be, wonderful if we could go downtown and see this quaint Healdsburg-ish kind of downtown. But before we do that, I think we have to focus. There's an awful lot of absentee landlords who are neglecting to upgrade their buildings. I know a couple of business owners there who can't offer the simplest of things like credit cards because the infrastructure doesn't support it and their landlords refuse to implement it. And I think we need to start there, right there.
Bravo.
That issue.
Okay, so you would like to see more locally owned
Yes.
in the,
Or landlords who would support their buildings and rather look at them as viable locations and not tax write-offs, which is what they're currently being used for.
If I
And
may,
that should also go under the 2 to 3 biggest issues in the city.
True.
and to springboard off of Roxanne's comment, I believe it was Roxanne, who said about if more and more people are going to be telecommuting, then the businesses and the infrastructure to support those need to be not only current up to 2022, but do be able to expand to 2045. So the ground is going to be, are they even at today's standards? And we all know that we're getting there, but we're far from it.
okay. We have more participants raising their hands. Go ahead, Karen.
Okay, thank you. One of the things that I think affects this area tremendously is the juggernaut of traffic that we have on Highway 12. And that seems to really cause a impact on the community in terms of getting to the downtown area and to also access businesses on Highway 12. And I know that years ago, Rio Vision did do a pretty comprehensive review of that with Caltrans, and they had made some recommendations regarding Highway 12. Well, since we have the bridge there, that really becomes very impactful. It becomes very impactful in several ways. One, to be able to get around the city, and two, if we have an emergency situation, how does that impact residents of Rio Vista in terms of being able to leave the city if they have to? So I think that really has to be entertained again.
Okay, no, definitely. We've been hearing a lot about that over the last several months. Okay, Karen, if you don't have anything else, then we'll move on to the next person. I think we have some other people raising their hand. Rich, Lynn, go ahead. Rich, please unmute your.
Hi there, sorry about that. There are a couple of things that I put in the chat Thursday and today. Are you able to see those?
I haven't looked at it in just a moment, so I will be taking a look at this after the meeting as well, but is there anything in particular you want me to be aware of and put down? I see, well, go ahead. One thing is about diversity. You want to go ahead and mention what you have to say about that?
Okay, well, in terms, hold on one second. In terms, I like I said, I shared this Thursday. It would be important to show a real show of diversity that includes, Black residents for others to know that systemic racism is really being eliminated. That means real inclusion in leadership positions in our town. Now, if we're doing a master plan or a general plan, it's important to know that we need to put this on the table, because when it's gone completely, that would be something to look forward to. There are a lot of people that would say that this city is, well, I don't even want to use some of the words, but they don't say it's diverse and open and Black friendly, but we're doing much better than we have in the past. And we should acknowledge our work for that.
Yeah, yes, I hear what you're saying. And yeah, I remember you saying that on Thursday evening, and I am noting it here, more diversity in leadership positions at the city. And I can say that includes leadership, at all levels at the city and during
Okay. And one other thing would be to have a national monument in Rio Vista for Black or African American history, our history. But to have this as a spot for a national monument, there's none on the West Coast. That's it.
Not true, but okay.
Any other thoughts or comments? I know there was a few more hands being raised.
Yeah, Van here, I'd like to see more, maybe ties into your bicycling access, but definitely more walking access to bike paths from the residential areas like Trilogy and Liberty into the downtown. It just right now there really isn't. It pretty much ends at Church Road as far as paths go for people. So I think that would be a nice shot in the arm. Most of the cities I've lived in over the years, if they had an extensive bike path system, it became very attractive to people. And that'd be my input anyway.
Very good thoughts about the city becoming more walkable and bikeable for residents. Rich, you had your hand up before. I don't know if you know that you can lower your hand when you're done making a comment. Let's see. Unless you had more comments, I would like to just move quickly because we only have about 5 minutes left. If there's anything that you would like to see in Rio Vista that's not here today, please let us know. And also, we would like to hear about some of the biggest issues in the city that should be addressed. Maybe we should move to that, because I think that could take definitely 5 minutes to talk about another couple issues that in the city that should be addressed. And we could also kind of reflect on what we've heard so far and maybe bring one of those things down to the bottom. So we'd like to hear your thoughts on the biggest issues in the city that should be addressed and that the city is facing today. Okay, Roxanne, go ahead.
There's a perception, if not the reality, that doing business in Rio Vista is difficult to do. It's difficult to find information. There are a lot of barriers up for local people to start businesses here. That is the perception out there on the street. That needs to be addressed. And I would also encourage the Planning Commission to urge the city to cut the red tape so that entrepreneurial people who live here in Rio Vista can try new things out.
Sure. Yeah, so that's something that you would like to see addressed for people wanting to start businesses in the city and how to go about doing that.
I think we would get the answer to some of the other things we're asking for if that happened. We would have more restaurants, at least people trying them out. We would have more specialty shops downtown if the perception didn't exist that doing business here is hard to do.
And that's for locals and people trying to come into the city to start a business. You're saying that.
That is the perception. It is hard to do business here.
So that you would like to see that improve.
Yes.
Okay. we'll go to Van. Your thoughts on issues in the city?
Well, public transportation, I think to and from like major hubs from here, we have, very limited public transportation. I think that could lead to maybe some more remote workers, younger entrepreneurial type, potentially starting businesses here. I mean, right now, if you want to try to get, to BART or anything like that, to get into the city, it's very, very limited. If you don't have your own vehicle. So
Right.
I would like to see, maybe that would be an idea too. And then just the traffic flow itself. I think it is really the whole flow of traffic on 12. I think that it actually discourages people from coming out here. I mean, every day it's, I can look from my, from Trilogy here, and it's like clockwork. It's backed up and during the week between Somerset and downtown. It's a, it's a gridlock, and I just think it probably discourages people from even making the trip out here. So.
Sure.
I agree with Van. There's been 4 or 5 new housing developments between Lodi and Rio Vista that have been built since we moved out here 8 years ago, and more planning, but no change in the roads. And because Highway 12 is such a truck route, it gets beat up pretty badly. And then when you add 5 times the commuter traffic that there was at one time, it backs up sooner, and damage to vehicles driving on that road.
As far as your comments, I would say traffic flow in and out of the city would be a better, maybe a little bit better wording.
Thank you. And I know there's a few more people that want to speak because we are coming up to about a few minutes left. Rich, do you have a thought on what could be improved in the city?
Yeah, can you hear me? Van and Karen kind of hit on what I had in mind when I raised my hand, and that is we absolutely need to make the city of Rio Vista a destination city and have a 4-lane highway built to go straight across Rio Vista, because 80% of the people that drive through on Highway 12 are passing through. Let them pass through and make Highway 12, as it is now, a frontage road for the people that want to visit the city. They can come and visit, and you can keep those big trucks off of the highway. But we got to make this a destination city, and that is part of the reason I mentioned a national monument. So we'll have something in Rio Vista for people to want to come see and contribute and pay money for and enjoy the other amenities that we have in our city.
Okay, definitely. All right. I think we only have one more left, probably 1 moment left. So can we take one more thought? I think Jim and Mingo, you've been waiting to speak again.
Yeah, tied to all this is the notion of getting over the perception that no one wants to come here and work, that it's hard to draw qualified workers to come here